The Free Agents podcast contains mature themes and adult language. Any discussion of gambling is for entertainment purposes only. Please abide by all laws in your location regarding gambling.
Can we start?
This week on The Free Agents.
You keep dissing Colin Kaepernick, and you keep saying that he can't win, and what does he keep doing?
He keeps winning. But something tells me, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of heat for this, but I feel like the 49ers are winning in spite of him.
Now mock draft, there'll be 7,000 of them between now and April 20 whatever.
And if this one's Houston, I'm sorry for you.
And they're all completely meaningless.
Now this makes a very interesting pickup for the Golden State Warriors. They now have two more guards that like to shoot the shit out of the basketball.
Welcome to the Free Agent Sports Podcast. It's another week of excellent NFL playoff action, and we also are going to do a little bit of NBA talk. We got a big Celtics trade that's just gone down, and we'll also hit on the A-Rod suspension. But first, we're going to kick it off with all the great NFL action from this weekend.
Got to. Let's head over to the NFC first. The Seahawks playing host to the 49ers, and yeah, it was Attack of the Skittles. This last week when Seattle beat New Orleans, MarShon Lynch 2 touchdowns and a bunch of yards, and it was a good day for him, good day for the Seahawks, and bad day for Drew Brees.
Yeah, well, it was bad weather, and when you're a pass-happy team, you can't make the passes work in the wet weather. Yep. So then, and for whatever reason, Jimmy Graham seems out of sorts. When he was playing again, he hasn't had a really big, huge game in a while. He's caught some touchdown passes, but I think that injury he sustained during the Patriots game has had cursed the rest of his season. He wasn't the major weapon, and for whatever reason, Marcus Colston is not as good as he once was, and there were some issues weapons-wise, and they didn't have a running game. They broke this rookie kid out that they said looked like. Yeah, no, not Ingram. This other kid that they were running.
Kyrie something. Kyrie Johnson, I think.
Yeah, some young kid that they hadn't run before. Then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, okay, he could be the next big thing. And I'm like, well, where was the next big thing all year? You're breaking him out against Seattle in the playoffs. Right. And Seattle let them keep hanging around. It isn't like Seattle had any great weapons. Firstly, Harvin's hurt, and Golden Tate and the rest. Russell Wilson has no one to throw to.
Yep.
And there's some issues coming around. I think Seattle peaked, and I think San Francisco's peaking now, which makes it more difficult for Seattle this week. Other than the home field advantage, I think the Niners have more advantages than the Seahawks do going into this game this weekend.
Now, this is something that we're going to touch on because this is something you've been giving me crap about all week. I think
we need a mea culpa on your part. You keep dissing Colin Kaepernick. And you keep saying that he can't win, and what does he keep doing?
He keeps winning. But something tells me, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of heat for this, but I feel like the 49ers are winning in spite of him. He's a one-read guy, and that for some reason he's winning in spite of that. So
he's winning because when he runs for a lot of yards, and when plays break down, he's able to make up for it with his legs. He's able to. Of course, yeah, he relies on security blankets like Anquan Bolden. He targeted him 12 times this week. Bolden caught 8 passes for like 150 or 60, whatever yards he had. He only threw for 190-something yards total, so most of it went to Bolden.
Right.
Crabtree made a couple of decent catches doing some first down, making some first downs, but it was all Bolden all day. And then the great catch by Vernon Davis. So there were some Kaepernick made some good passes. He made some right decisions against against a good team.
Yeah,
it isn't like Carolina. It isn't like Carolina's a bad team. Carolina is a sack happy team with a bad secondary. That's what Carolina's defense is, and Kaepernick was able to use his feet to get away. It didn't happen the last time they played.
Right.
That
game's 9-6. If that tells you anything.
It was 10-6 the last time, and this one was there was more points in this one.
Yep. Then
Carolina,
or 10-9 the last time.
I mean, I really feel like, I mean, you're right about Carolina is a good team going into that game, and I think their biggest fault was their offensive game plan where they just couldn't score in the red zone. And you can only run the ball so many times and take so many field goals, and you're not, there's no way you're going to win playoff games doing that consistently.
Yeah, Mike Tolbert got stuffed multiple times in the red zone.
Yeah, you got to at least take a shot somewhere. I mean, Cam Newton's a good enough quarterback. I know they don't have like all these great targets, but they got some guys who can catch the ball, especially in that short yardage situation. You got to take a shot.
That's actually debatable.
You know what you do there, Smart, is you spread everything out.
Yeah.
You spread Olsen out, you spread a running back out, you spread everybody out, and then you let Cam Newton get creative and try and run the ball.
Yeah, he might be able to sneak in just on a little quarterback draw or something, but they didn't do any of that.
You don't try and muscle them in, because they've got a more of a finesse team anyway, and they could have just finessed the ball into the end zone.
You can't muscle against that defensive line for the 49ers anyway. No. You got Patrick Willis there, and
Alden Smith,
it's not going to happen.
That Niners defense is beastly. And
yes,
now
it really is. It absolutely is.
Now that they've got the everything in order now, Alden Smith's healthy again. All of that changes now. They become one of the top, 3 defenses in all of football with Smith back and everybody healthy, and that just changes the whole dynamic of this whole thing. So the Niners going into this weekend, I do not want the Niners to win. I've never been a Niners fan. Couldn't stand them because they were always trying to beat my Steelers Super Bowl record. This week, I think the Niners beat Seattle.
They're going to do it. It's going to be with the defense.
It's going to be with their running game. They're going to run the ball down their throats. That's what they're going to do. They are going to come out. They're going to play smash mouth, and they're going to go right, and Harbaugh's going to run it down their throats. There's going to be a lot of read option. There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that stuff because he saved Kaepernick this year. Didn't do the read option all year, and then saved it for the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But I'm looking at what the Saints try to do with their running game, and Seattle just stuffed them completely. And part of that has contributed to the
New Orleans. New Orleans can't run the ball. They've never been known for running the ball. I mean, they didn't. I can't make that comparison. San Francisco has a superior running game. True. That's what they've won games with this year. Frank Gore and Colin Kaepernick and. I mean, they've got a superior running game to the Saints.
As opposed to New Orleans, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And, so Seattle showed they could do it against less than average run offense. Let's see what they can do against a better than average run offense in Frank Gore in San Francisco. So, but I still think a lot of it's going to come down to D in this game. Especially, it's going to depend on the weather too, because the weather is always dicey in Seattle, especially come this time of year. So it should be very, very interesting.
The game's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
They're 51 and cloudy is the forecast for Seattle on Sunday. So weather not going to be an issue. What's going to be an issue is Alden Smith being back and healthy, and Colin Kaepernick and Jim Harbaugh versus Pete Carroll, and then the steroid heads from one team beating up on the steroid heads from the other.
And looking over at the other conference, let's head over to now what's going to be the site of Denver. For Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning 15, including all the regular season and playoff matchups. And this is another coin flip.
No, it's not a coin flip. Denver's the better team. Denver's going to run the ball on them like they did last time because that's what you can do against the Patriots now. And then you're going to see Peyton Manning, they got lucky last time in overtime. The wind, the weather, everything. The weather's different now. It's going to be, again, 50 degrees, cloudy, not a bad day in Denver. And I think Peyton Manning has a big advantage in this game. The Patriots are hurt through the whole middle of their defense. Yeah. And there's just too many weapons for Peyton Manning to throw to. Aqib Talib can only cover one wide receiver at a time.
Okay. The reason I think it's a coin flip is I think you can't write off Tom Brady. In big games, playoff games, he finds a way, whether it be, he has no weapons, he has one weapon, doesn't matter. When
was the last time Tom Brady won a Super Bowl? In big playoff games, Tom Brady's come up empty in plenty of Super Bowls and plenty of big games lately. Tom Brady's good, but Tom Brady's not the Tom Brady of 2007. He doesn't have the weapons and he doesn't have any of that stuff going on. Yep. And this is a Denver team that is on far superior offensively right now than the Patriots.
I'll buy that to a point. I want to see how Tom Brady performs this weekend, and that'll be kind of the selling point for me as to where he is with his career. Because I think as you mentioned before the show, if Bill Belichick is winding down, I have a feeling him and Tom Brady go pretty much together, if I'm not mistaken. And this will be a big determining factor this weekend will be for him and where he's at with his career. So,
well, I mean, Brady's not going anywhere. They got him signed. Brady's their quarterback.
Yeah.
Brady's not going anywhere. It isn't like you're going to see, nobody's going to be calling for Ryan Mallett to come off the sidelines and take over.
Right. No, nobody's going to be calling for that, but it's just a matter of, when is he going to ride off into the sunset, and will it be similar to the time that Bill Belichick decides to do so?
Well, when we talk about the coaching carousel, I've got my little theory there.
Yep. So.
About the coaching carousel there. But I mean, Brady didn't have the numbers this year, and he's not as young as he used to be, and he did, I guess, pick up some momentum towards the end of the season and start putting up some better numbers. Mm-hmm. But he's definitely not the guy he used to be, and I'm not convinced that the Pats have again, I mean, odds makers are saying it's Denver. The fans have been betting heavy on the Patriots all week. They moved the line from 6.5 to 4, almost instantly when the betting opened. So yes, like you, there's people that are overvaluing the Patriots. There's people that are overvaluing the LeGarrette Blount factor. There's a lot of things that are being overvalued. I mean, the Broncos are coming off a 2 week rest. They've played the Patriots once already this year. Peyton Manning, John Fox, the coaching staff in Denver is very good. Mm. They are going to be more than prepared for this game, and it's going to be a pull a game out of their ass type of move if the Patriots win this weekend.
Right, and that's kind of what I was thinking. And to retort to your point, I'm not overvaluing LeGarrette Blount just because he had 4 touchdowns. I'm just saying other people were. Right, he had 4 touchdowns, but to not overvalue him, 2 of those touchdowns were within 3 yards. So it's not like he had to run, any upwards of like 30 to 50 yards per run. He had 1 like that, but it wasn't like he was doing that all day. So I'm not going to overvalue that to that point. But I do think you're right. I think if the Patriots are going to win, it will be an upset. But I can't write Tom Brady off yet. So, but we'll see this weekend. So
time to start seeing the writing on the wall. Yeah. Speaking of coaches, we've had some coaches being signed. I mean, you got anything else in the playoffs? I mean, I'm not gonna break it down. I'm not Jaworski. I can't break down the X's and the O's.
No, we don't. They won't give us the game footage, LJ.
Yeah.
So, you can get game footage. You can go online and watch the coaches, what they call the coaches.
I know, but we're not allowed to distribute or do anything with it. So it's really boring for you to talk about film that people can't watch during the show.
We don't have rights to the NFL broadcast, unlike ESPN.
Someday, LJ, someday.
Yeah, someday.
Oh well, we get that kind of money then I need a raise.
Right.
Don't worry, LJ. We'll take care of that.
Anyway, talking about coaches, we had 3 get hired this week, including 1 this morning.
Yes, but not this morning. I want to talk to you. Your Lions ended up with Jim Caldwell instead of Ken Whisenhunt, and that was because of money. Plain and simple. $1 million more. The Tennessee owner said, "Here's $1 million more. Come be my coach."
Right.
So Whisenhunt took that. And then Matt Leinart takes a dig at Whisenhunt and says, "You know what? Kurt Warner wearing the offense in Arizona, not Whisenhunt." and so you all are getting, not that good a coach. Is basically what Leinart said. As Leinart is dating, D-level actresses in Hollywood and trying to make the living doing commercials or I don't know, whatever the fuck Leinart's doing nowadays.
Right. It really doesn't matter what Leinart's doing. I think he's way off base with this. I really do. Looking at Whisenhunt's body of work, I mean, yeah, even if Warner ran that offense, which I highly doubt, to tell you the truth, the end all be all of it is look what he did with Roethlisberger. He turned him into a Super Bowl.
No, he did not. Mark Whipple was his offensive coordinator when he went to the Super Bowl. Whipple was him, and UMass just hired Whipple, Smarge, as their They just hired him back as their football coach. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I did actually. That's some exciting news for UMass.
Yes, but Whipple was the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, was the quarterback coach when Roethlisberger came into the league. Whipple was the one that held his hand through that first season. Wiesenhunt came in when Tomlin came in, but then left and went to Arizona. I think were they around? I forgot. I think Wiesenhunt was around for the second Super Bowl and was offensive coordinator then. But again, I mean, he wasn't responsible for Roethlisberger's success. At least I don't think so.
I thought he was around. I thought he was around sooner than that. That's what I was understanding. So
he came in a year after the Seattle Super Bowl, because I was just actually going over that with someone. We were talking about the Whipple hiring, and I put the timeline together, and Cowher had brought in Whipple.
Right.
And towards the end of his thing to nurture Roethlisberger, because Whipple had a great reputation at UMass. His offense was amazing. I've actually watched this guy when he started at the University of New Haven. A friend of mine played for him as one of his wide receivers, and he had that crazy spread offense back in the 90s.
Right.
Back in the early 90s. This was, Max graduated in 1991, and then he went and played for him in 92, 93, 94. And they won Division II championships, and then he went to Division I AA, and now he's back with UMass. But he was the one that was there with Roethlisberger.
Okay. Well, even taking away the Roethlisberger thing, Wiesenhunt's body of work with what he did with Warner, with or without the fact that Warner helped run that offense, that's fine, whatever. But either way, he helped lead that team to a Super Bowl, which nobody thought was going to happen. He basically brought a renaissance year out of Phillip Rivers, which we thought he was dead in the water. We thought they were looking for a new starter in San Diego for a while. And all of a sudden, he's gotten into the second round of the playoffs. So you got to take a look at his recent body of work and use that towards the hiring process, and that's what Tennessee went after. And yeah, they offered him more money to go there, and the Lions definitely did like him. Part of the reason was the relationship that he had with the GM Martin Mayhew, which is why we were thinking he was a favorite to get that job. Didn't end up happening. And honestly, looking at the Caldwell hiring, he's got a lot of ringing endorsements from a lot of highly intelligent football minds. So
he got ringing endorsements from Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning. And that was because Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning were able to, Caldwell was a yes man. He made everybody feel good around him. Peyton, what do you want to do? Okay, do that. Look at the offense that the Ravens ran this year. And yes, he had some offensive line issues, but Jesus Christ, that offense was bad. Very, very bad. The Ravens did not score a lot of points. The Ravens couldn't run the ball. The Ravens had issues after issue on offense. And now you want to make this your head coach? This would not have been my hire.
He got a lot of ringing endorsements, but I mean, even before this whole thing started with Caldwell, I didn't like the possibility of him coming here because, and this is something that the whole Peyton Manning thing kind of plays out of his hands, and that's when you have that you were the head coach of a team that was led by Peyton Manning and you went 13-3. It doesn't sit as well if you have a nobody at quarterback and you go 13-3, because Peyton Manning, for the most part, is going to be the drill sergeant on that offense. He's going to be the one calling the plays for the most part. And he didn't really bring anything else to that Colts team after Dungy left. So, and to go 13-3 with Peyton Manning, yeah, like I said, it's not a very flattering mark, to tell you the truth. So,
I don't like the Jim Caldwell hiring because there's really no proof that he's a good coach. It was an optical illusion that Peyton Manning was doing all that he was doing, and so you couldn't really tell what Jim Caldwell was actually doing and not doing. It's just like hiring Denver's offensive coordinator right now. Is Denver's offensive coordinator a good coach, or is it just Peyton Manning is a great quarterback and game manager and does everything for you?
Right.
There's no way to know this because you're not in the locker room where all the decisions are being made ahead of time. You don't know what this guy is talking about you don't know what Caldwell went over with Peyton Manning. You don't know if he was adding to Peyton. You don't know.
I'll give Caldwell a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in this year for Baltimore. When you go to a Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl, and then you trade away 5 of your best weapons, your offense is going to suffer. And then you put it all in the lap of a Ray Rice who didn't have a great year. And that's because everybody's looking to stop him because they know there's not a lot of weapons on the outside.
Well, they didn't even run the ball, though. The play calling was bad.
Yeah.
When they were trying to throw when they had no weapons to throw. I mean, it was bad play calling. And Caldwell wasn't there the whole year they went to the Super Bowl. They fired their offensive coordinator the 3/4 of the way into the season, and then brought Caldwell in to ride out the rest of the season. But I don't know. The whole Caldwell thing is just seems like a bad idea. I would have gone college coach. I'd have gone different coordinator. I wouldn't have recycled.
That's actually something to mention as well. One of our listeners, Scott M. White, on one of our Facebook comments, he mentioned the whole coach recycling thing. It's very true.
And we can blame Bill Belichick for that because he went and was unsuccessful in Cleveland and then was successful with the Pats.
Yep.
So then everybody's trying to recatch the fire. That was the reason why Josh McDaniel, everybody said he was going to go to Cleveland. He takes his name out of the running, and I secretly think Belichick's retiring within the next 3 years or 2 years or whatever. And I think Josh McDaniel just wants to stay with the Patriots so he can grab that job. I think he just wants to be the coach, the head coach.
And it very well could happen. I think they go out, it's probably the same year. I'm thinking when Brady says he's done, Belichick's going to be done too.
Brady and McDaniel get along, so I don't know about all that. But, I mean, Brady just loves to compete. I don't know if he's going to leave when Belichick leaves. I don't know how loyal he is to Belichick and all that, but
right. It
seems like a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be the icing on the cake, per se, for that, for those two Hall of Fame careers. So. And
Mike Zimmer got hired, which is a hire I like by the Vikings. He's a defensive guy. They've had some issues on defense this year, but they still have some talent there. They need a guy that can come in. He's got a lot of gravitas. He's been in the league a long time. Mm-hmm. He's got a Super Bowl ring from when he was with the Dallas staff. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that's not a recycle. This is a guy that's been waiting to get his chance, and I like this hire. Now they just need to get a quarterback.
Yeah, they do. Then they need to drop the 3 starting quarterbacks who they're paying currently.
All of them. Get rid of them all.
Yes.
Take them out into the backyard, but they're going to keep Castle. They're going to cut Ponder, and they're going to keep Castle. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then I think of those three, you have to keep that one. You have to keep Castle.
And they're going to draft a quarterback in this year's draft, and then they're going to nurture him with Castle probably there as the bridge guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think anybody that drafted as a rookie is going to have to be the one that jumps into the starting role. I think Castle will be behind him, being in his ear, but other than that, I think it'll be a rookie showcase in Minnesota next year.
Mm-hmm. It'd be rough. It will. Depends on, and they're looking at Norv Turner. Zimmer's looking at a few people for offensive coordinator, but Norv Turner's name came up. And Norv is always, that's an old Dallas hiring. They were on the staff together in Dallas back in the day, so I understand why he wants to do that.
Well, they've got a couple of good years left out of AP, and they've got a really young guy by the name of Cordarrelle Patterson in the wide receiver spot. That's going to be
Cordrell. Yep, pick him up in fantasy next year. He's going to be the most overhyped fantasy player next year, I think, out of all the players.
Yeah, it'll depend on what quarterback they get to, if they can utilize him or not.
Hi, folks. Did you know that Argo brand cornstarch has been the chef's choice in cornstarch for over 75 years? And you know what else? Our own Frenchie the Greek is a 5-star chef with over a decade of experience. So tell us, Frenchie, why is Argo the chef's choice in cornstarch?
I apply Argo liberally throughout the day to reduce chafing and prevent irritation. Nothing keeps me as comfortable all day long.
So there you have it. Argo, the chef's choice for over 75 years.
Argo cornstarch. It promotes dryness.
Ladies and gentlemen, hot across the wire. We just got it just minutes ago. Mel Kiper, actually 1:21 p.m. on January 15th, Mel Kiper dropped his first mock draft of the year.
Woo!
Exactly. Celebrate, everybody. It's now mock draft. There'll be 7,000 of them between now and April 20 whatever.
And if this one's Houston, I'm sorry for you.
And they're all completely meaningless.
And the number one pick in the first mock draft of the year, Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M, going to the Houston Texans. Chris Curtis, what do you think of that pick?
No.
No, we're not gonna.
No.
You wouldn't take Johnny Manziel. Who would you take with that pick?
With that pick, not Johnny Manziel. I'd probably, if I had to go with another quarterback, I would go anywhere else. I don't like Manziel.
Would you go Blake Bortles, the 6'4", 230-pound, big-armed quarterback that he has projected to go number 4 to the Browns?
I'd certainly think about it, because at least if he takes a hit, he's not going to fall over and die. Johnny Manziel's going to get run over his first couple of games, and he's going to be, he's going to be slobbering all over himself by the end of his first season.
Johnny Manziel's 6 feet tall if he's in shoes. He weighs about 205 pounds. I mean, he's no Blake Bortles, but I mean, God.
Yeah.
Eddie Bridgewater's another one of the big-time quarterbacks, and he's 6'2", 220 pounds. It isn't like you're talking about Drew Brees is a little guy.
Yeah, the difference is the attitude for these quarterbacks.
And you don't like him. That's another one of those things. I like, he's a cocky little fucking douche. Right. That's what he is.
Absolutely. And
people don't like cocky fucking little rich douches. And
it's not even just that. It's not even just that. It's that's the perception he's going to give to all the NFL players that are coming for his throat, which is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, he's going to draw 1 million penalties from these guys. Yeah. I mean, the way quarterbacks are protected right now, Johnny Manziel is going to be a penalty drawing machine.
Yeah.
And Mr. O'Brien, I guess, is interested. Coach O'Brien is interested in Johnny Manziel. Schaub lost the confidence of Andre Johnson. He lost the confidence of his best wide receiver. Andre Johnson wanted Case Keenum to be the quarterback. Yes. And when Kubiak came back and reinserted Schaub, Johnson turned on Kubiak. Johnson turned on Schaub. Johnson was done. And Johnson's the guy, is the alpha dog.
He's a star player. He runs the locker room. I didn't realize that, LJ. I had no idea.
Well, the thing about it is, I thought they were going to move over from the Matt Schaub era to the Case Keenum era, regardless of what was going on in the draft. I sincerely thought that Case Keenum should be the starter in Houston next year, just based on his play over the last few games of the season. So, and you can disagree with me if you want, but that's the way, looking at it from a third party perspective, from someone who, looks at the situation, kind of uninterestedly, just because I don't really pay attention to Houston all that much. Case Keenum looks like the guy.
There's also this option out there. O'Brien could go madman on everybody and team Jadeveon Clowney with J.J. Watt and have the greatest defensive line ever in football, ever, and then go out there and sign McCown to back up Case Keenum just in case shit gets hectic, and rely more on the run and re-sign Ben Tate and Arian Foster and go in that route, and then just have a sick defense. I mean, Jesus Christ, think about Clowney along with J.J. Watt.
Yeah, it'd be better than the tandem of what they were thinking Sue and Fairley were going to be when the Lions drafted Fairley.
Because Watt's already established himself as one of the greatest defensive linemen. I mean, just the 2 years he's been in the league, Watt is just bigger, stronger, faster. Steroids are amazing. That's all I got to say. Because J.J. Watt,
that's honestly, the way you're mentioning it, that seems like the more logical route to go. I think Johnny Manziel is just, oh man, you're spending, max.
I mean, you have Jadeveon Clowney, or they could go the Anthony Barr route, the kid from UCLA who's amazing as a linebacker. This is a kid that is projecting out to be this is a blue chipper, another blue chipper. There's two, and then you can go offensive line. Jake Matthews, another blue chipper. They have a lot of great options. You go Blake Bortles too.
Yeah, Mel Kiper's got Anthony Barr going to Atlanta right now at the 6th hole. So, which wouldn't be it for them either, but
Atlanta needs that. Atlanta needs him or Clowney. Atlanta needs to improve their defense.
Yep.
And that makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
Let's talk about, who's he got projected for your Lions?
For my Lions, he's got Justin Gilbert, the cornerback.
Well, they do need a cornerback.
Yeah, that's a good pick for them.
Yep.
He pans out.
We do need some help in the passing game, pass defense.
And he's got my Steelers taking a big gap, the big guy for a 3-4 defense, a nose tackle. Lewis Nix the third, which they had him projected last year to take, but the kid never came out.
Right.
So, and I love it when reality is funnier than there's a guy in the draft named Ha Ha Clinton Dix. It's straight out of the skit from Key and Peele. And wow, Marcus Lee is going to go 18th. He was projected at the beginning of the college football season. Marcus Lee was considered one of a top 3 pick.
Well,
they have him now
him.
at 18 to the Jets. That would be a coup for them. They need that.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus Lee is a good wide receiver. I don't know about great, but he was really good.
Oh, imagine that. The Dolphins need an offensive tackle.
The Dolphins, well, I don't even know what the hell.
They need a lot of help in Miami. They need
new locker room. They need their work.
Well, they hired a guy named Bill Lazor as their offensive coordinator.
Right.
What do we know about Bill Lazor?
I've never heard of him in my life, honestly.
Who?
Exactly.
Bill Lazor. Bill Lazor, the Dolphins enjoyed great success with. Oh, he was Philadelphia's offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting.
A little bit.
He did wonders with Nick Foles. Maybe he can turn Ryan Tannehill around.
Yeah, but even Tannehill didn't play horribly last year. Their problems were more in the personnel and the locker room rather than with Tannehill. Tannehill in the situation he was put in didn't play horribly.
Oh, their problem was offensive line. Tannehill got killed every week.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean.
They need to draft as many offensive. Yeah, they have an offensive tackle going to them. They got a kid from Alabama going to them in the draft because that's what they need. They need linemen. Lots and lots of linemen that aren't bullies.
One that I'm going to mention here is Kiper has the number 8 pick going to Minnesota. Teddy Bridgewater is headed up into the Great White North and headed to Minnesota, according to Mr. Kiper. And you think Mike Zimmer's going to play with that, you think?
North Turner. This would be Teddy Bridgewater coming to town. And or whoever the offensive coordinator is going to get Teddy Bridgewater, and then they're going to have to mold him and shape him. Bridgewater was the starter at Louisville in an NFL style offense.
Right.
Teddy Bridgewater knows how to read defenses better than Johnny Manziel. Mm-hmm. That I can tell you that Johnny Manziel has more intent. I think fucking Kiper did this shit just to make us all talk about it. I really don't honestly think he believes Manziel's going number 1. I think this was just put out there as some hype bullshit. Oh my God, Mel Kiper just put Johnny Manziel as his projected number 1 pick. And now this is going to be the headline on ESPN all day.
Right, and like Smarty said earlier, I think that the reasons he put up there just don't really validate it to me. The Bill O'Brien thing, sure, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for a team that is a quarterback away, and Manziel isn't really that quarterback. I think they are a good quarterback away from being a very good offense with Arian Foster back there. As long as he can reemerge, you have Andre Johnson. You have it's a good offense there, and if they take Clowney, that's a really good defense.
Yeah, the Clowney pick would just be amazing.
Clowney or Barnes, for that matter.
Clowney or Barr, or you could go just a solid offensive tackle in Jake Matthews. This is a guy that's going to be sitting there for 10 years as your starting left tackle without a problem.
Yeah.
Those are the guys. If I draft an early, I would. I just like taking the lineman. You need a good line in the NFL to win. You need a good offensive line. End of story. You can win with a less than stellar quarterback. You can win with a less than stellar running back. You can win with less than stellar wide receivers. You need a good offensive line.
Yes.
Unless you've got Ben Roethlisberger, who can get bounced around and crazy shit. All right.
So
the Boston Celtics have literally, I think they have like every draft pick for the next 20 years.
We have, this is breaking news as of an hour ago recording. Boston Celtics are trading Jordan Crawford and MarShon Brooks to the Golden State Warriors in a 3-team deal that will send Tony Douglas to the Miami Heat and Joel Anthony and 2 draft picks to Boston, according to sources being reported by Jeff Goodman at ESPN.
Yeah. This is fully reported on. And Adrian Wojciechowski over at Yahoo, the NBA expert at Yahoo, clarified the draft pick situation. It's the Sixers draft pick. It'd be a first round pick. If it's one of the picks the Sixers have. I don't know which one. The Sixers have a million of them too. Mm-hmm. But with this pick specifically, if the Sixers make the playoffs next year or the year after, then the pick is a first round pick. If not, then it becomes, after the 2 years are over, in that third year, it becomes a second round pick. So basically they got a second round pick, because I don't see the Sixers going to the playoffs the next 2 years. Unless they do some amazing shit.
Yeah, we'll see.
But either way, but the Celtics are stockpiling draft picks and are in full tank mode, even with Rajon Rondo coming back. Now this makes a very interesting pickup for the Golden State Warriors. They now have 2 more guards that like to shoot the shit out of the basketball. And in that offense, that's just adding more potency to that offense. And they've had some actual issues scoring the ball. So now with with scoring in their second unit. So now this helps solidify that bench and gives them some scoring that can come in to spell Steph Curry and Klay Thompson when those guys are having a bad night.
Yeah, that'll definitely help.
It's a move that makes the Warriors better. And everybody this week in NBA trends, everybody's been talking about how the Warriors are an official NBA championship contender. They are now officially moved into to the talk, along with the Heat and the Pacers and the Spurs and the Oklahoma City. They are now the 5th team being talked about in the title chase.
Make that
realistically.
6.
Huh?
Make that 6 with Portland. But yeah,
they're not ready to say Portland is a projected team. All the smart NBA people are saying Portland's a player away or a year away. They're not ready to do it yet this year. That's what the experts are saying. If you're going to appreciate the expert analysis, they say Portland's not a true championship contender.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take it for what they say, but at the same time, Portland, if that's the case, then they're a definite underrated team in my opinion. I think they do have a chance to get to the finals. I think they give OKC a definite run, OKC or San Antonio a run for the money in the Western Conference Finals. That's for sure. At least a run for the money. If not, they beat them. So we'll see. That's good. I can't wait for the playoffs. The playoffs are going to be so awesome.
Again, we just need, I keep saying it over and over and over again. We need the fast forward button on this season.
Yes. That 45 or 48 game season or whatever with the lockout a couple years back was a definite, it definitely woke or put some eyes into the fact that the season is just, probably 20 games too long.
It'd be great if we could just zip right to March, start the NCAA tournament, get ready for NBA and NHL playoffs, spring training.
Yeah. Speaking of the NCAA, I don't know if any of you guys watched the game the other night with Kansas when they were playing. I think it was Iowa State. Kansas and Iowa State. Kansas beat Iowa State the other night. And Joel Embiid, this kid just looked insanely good. His footwork around the basket, his touch around the basket. This kid officially in my opinion is the number one projected pick right now. If you were picking number one, I'd have to pick Embiid, and I'd have to take Wiggins second. Wiggins, I'm now officially on board with Wiggins too. He grabbed 19 rebounds the other night against a really good Iowa State team. Wow. And I mean, this Wiggins just showed his face the other night, and so did Embiid. These two can go 1 and 2 in the draft this year easily.
That's actually a pretty bold prediction there, given the talent that's in the rookie class this year. I mean, you look at Marcus Smart and there
at Oklahoma State. Yep, and you can look at Jabari Parker.
Yep.
And I've been hearing great things about Dante Exum. I just read a whole big article breaking down the kid from Australia, the 6'6" guard, who's got all sorts of hops. They're talking about him like he's super guard coming from Australia. So I don't know about all this hype, but I watched Embiid against a good Iowa State team, the number 8 team in the country, just own them down low, just grabbing rebounds, and like I said, the footwork. And he's only been playing basketball since he's 16. I'm totally sold. I'm sold on him right now.
Yeah, and I'll disagree on the number 1 pick there. I think I have to take the experience and go with Marcus Smart. And he came back for another year to work on, more of his fundamentals, his shooting touch and things like that. So he gets it. He gets what he needs to do. He gets the work that he needs to put in to be.
That's fine, but Embiid's ceiling is Akeem Olajuwon. Marcus Smart's ceiling, the best that Marcus Smart is going to be is Darren Williams. That's the best. That's the best ceiling you're going to get for Marcus Smart. And Embiid's ceiling is Akeem Olajuwon, and Akeem Olajuwon arguably is arguably the best center of all time.
Okay, I'll buy the Hakeem Olajuwon argument. I think Marcus Smart's ceiling is a little higher than that. We'll see. I mean, we'll see once they actually get to the big show. So it'll be fun to watch the draft and the upcoming NBA season, and even come closer to March, how these kids develop. It's going to be fun.
Speaking of another guy that likes to put out stuff projection after projection, and Chad Ford agrees with me. He just put out his new big board, and Embiid's at the top of it, and Wiggins is now second. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see where your boy Smart is. Your boy Smart is 6th. Dante Exum's ahead of him when it comes to guards. I mean, the Exum thing, I mean, this kid's he's tall. He's like 6'6".
Yeah.
He's a big, tall scoring guard. And Marcus Smart is smaller, but Marcus Smart has an NBA. He's built for the NBA already.
Right.
That's the beauty of Marcus Smart, is he's got an NBA-ready body. And the problem is I don't know about his NBA-ready skills. But I mean, we're splitting hairs here. All these guys could all be all-stars. God, it's a good year to have a lot of picks.
Boston, Philadelphia.
But there's starting to be some backlash against these guys too. I was listening to Bill Simmons and Jalen Rose, and they were talking about how there is not a LeBron James or Kevin Durant in this draft. That they were overhyping these guys, and now that we've seen them play, there are holes in their games, and Durant at Texas you knew he was going to be a superstar. That kid was raining threes at Texas already, and he was a 6'11" kid with a guard's handle.
Yep.
And when you saw LeBron James, you just saw a guy that was
NBA ready out of high school. Yeah, easily.
Was a different animal. And the only person that even sniffs that is Joel Embiid. He's the only one that sniffs that kind of projection. If
he's a guard and he's 6'6", I mean, he's got the body for it right away. And he has a body of a shorter Kevin Durant, based on the guard play that, even though Durant's listed as a 3, he plays, he can play, a 2 if he really has to. Just because
Kevin Durant could play all 5 positions on the floor if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant could back you up to the basket and try. I mean, he's skinny, but if he could play the 4 or the 5 if he wanted to.
He could do it, yeah.
But I mean, Durant's amazing. I mean, watching this kid develop. I mean, and now that Westbrook's out, he's dropping 44 on people and just doing crazy shit. But it does show you though that Russell Westbrook makes that Oklahoma City Thunder team better with him in the lineup. That Oklahoma City Thunder team is much better than they are because they're losing games now without him. Well, and you're starting to see the value of Russell Westbrook.
The thing with Westbrook that he gets a lot of criticism about is his shooting. Not because he's a bad shooter, but because he takes a lot of shots at the one. And that's the way of the NBA now, is the scoring point guards. But at the same time, I think, and I'm maybe just call me old-fashioned as far as the NBA is concerned, I like a point guard kind of like a John Stockton. The point guard should be the facilitator, as opposed to the scorer. Move Westbrook to the 2, get yourself an actual point guard, and that team, I think, is even better.
I don't know. Chris Curtis and Phil Jackson couldn't hang out then. Because Phil Jackson didn't have a traditional point guard. Basically, his whole time he was a Bulls coach. Hell, I mean, who was the traditional point guard with the Lakers? I mean, they didn't really have a traditional.
Probably, if you had to pick one, probably Derek Fisher when he was there. Yeah.
I mean, but really, nowadays you don't need. I mean, LeBron James is a point forward. Right. Kevin Durant kind of does the point forward thing over where he is,
and I understand that.
And the new NBA, it's kind of like it's not a 1 or a 2 guard, it's these 0 guards. As Bill Simmons and Jalen Rose came up with the 0 guard theory, where they're not a 1, they're not a 2, they're just out there scoring and dishing. Steph Curry is a great example of a 0 guard.
I'll give you 3 examples. I'll give you Steph Curry, I'll give you Derrick Rose, and I'll give you Russell Westbrook.
Yep. Bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
And shit. Steph Curry's just, every time you watch the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry, you're amazed. I don't need to add to the Golden State Warriors hype this week. Like I said, everybody and their mother's been hyping them.
Yeah.
And saying everything that, but, and then they just go and make a trade and they add to their bench. The Warriors have positioned themselves well. They won't be getting Joel Embiid in this draft.
No. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He could go somewhere like a Sacramento or something like that, depending on what they do. Or Utah.
Now, it just pains me to talk about this, but I guess we should talk about Aroyd.
Yeah, the suspension came down last week.
He's going to get paid for 1 game, so he's going to get $3 million for this year from the Yankees, whatever the hell he's going to get.
Right.
So he's on the books for 1 game, and then the Yankees got to replace him. So they're looking at Kelly Johnson, Eduardo Nunez, and then they signed this kid, Scott Sizemore, who was an underachiever. He's only like 26, 27 years old. And he was projected as a really good player, and he's never done it. So
he's serviceable at best for them. He was actually in the Tigers organization, and I will agree with that. If they're going to take Sizemore, he will be serviceable. He will at least be able to field his position. He'll probably be a number 8 hitter, number 9 hitter, something like that.
But they're going to start him against lefties, it looks like. He's one of those guys that they signed him, they can start him against lefties, and Johnson will start against the right-handers.
Yeah,
that's what they're gonna platoon there. But then Johnson's gonna have to also play some second base. They got some infield issues as they're.
And just to touch on the A thing real quick, and it's just kind of it's getting to the point where it's closing down finally, and we have a kind of final conclusion to this. An arbitrator basically he took the suspension down from 211 games to 162 games, or this entire season plus the postseason, which is what it's going to end up being. Now, basically, A-Rod is kind of legalizing himself into a corner here because he's now not only suing Major League Baseball, but he's also suing the Players Association, saying that he was not properly represented by the Players Union, and it's completely ridiculous. Absolutely and completely ridiculous, because not only he's making enemies of all the wrong people, and now that he's backed himself into a corner, he's trying to take it federal, and no federal judge is going to overturn an arbitrator's hearing or an arbitrator's ruling. So
what this idiot is doing is he's trying to exhaust every legal option or crazy option that he's got, and the fool, the idiot, the dummy, should have just admitted that he did it, quietly taken the 50-game suspension, and then come back and made his shit ton of money and been an annoying thorn in my side. But instead, he tried to be the cocky asshole that he is and be like, no, you're not going to suspend me, blah, 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 I'm Alex Rodriguez. Well, now, motherfucker, sit out for a season. And I hope the Yankees settle with you, and I hope you fucking never see a baseball diamond ever again in your fucking life.
Right. Not only that, I had a thought about this earlier that kind of, struck me, and I think it's gonna be a Pete Rose type situation for A-Rod. I really do. I think he's going to vehemently deny it until he's 60 years old, and then he's going to come out in an ESPN special and say, yeah, I did it.